I really can't touch the wind. No, you can't.
Yo, what's up, my ninjas? It's C-Wind of Wind Clan Ninjas, and welcome to the first episode of the Book of Wind mini-series. We'll be back with the regular show in a few, but then, for those of you who don't know, I am also an author. I wrote the Book of Wind by Stavario C. Wyndham back in 2014, and it was a proud accomplishment for me. People always talk about sitting down and writing a book. I had a little free time. I went ahead and did it. And the Book of Wind is pretty much the conversation I would have if I knew I had the opportunity to tell a person everything that I knew and wanted to instill upon them in one sitting. This is probably the conversation I would have with them, this book right here. I've learned an amazing amount of things since the writing of this book, especially when I started practicing Chinese medicine and started learning more about internal health and Qigong and all sorts of cool spiritual stuff. And so, with this show, I'm going to be doing a reading of the book. We'll probably go like a chapter at a time and things like that. And then I'll fill in some of the gaps I add in, some of the knowledge I've learned since the writing of this book, because it was really one of those things. I did a little research, but then for the most part, it was just like stuff I had crammed in my head already. And I was like, hey, let me go ahead and get it out there. See my philosophies on paper, figure out who I am as a person, probably help other people do the same. All right, and then we'll be playing a little bit of music too while we're doing it. We'll take a break here and then, kick some tunes for you. So let me kick it off. Here's the dedication. To my clan, for whom I have shed blood, sweat, and tears, and to any soul moved by this writing, thank you. Without people to love and inspire, this text will have no spirit. True facts, true facts. All right. Acknowledgements. I would like to thank my friends, family, and mentors that contributed to the experiences used to create this book. A special acknowledgement to Overton Lloyd, who took the time to show me how far the rabbit hole really goes. All right, shout out to Overton. If you don't know who that is, he's a brilliant visual artist, world renowned. He the creative director for my mentor, George Clinton. From Parliament Funkadelic. So big shout out, much love to Overton. All right. Preface. It's such a blessing to finally complete the infamous Book of Wind. This thing has been swirling around in my head for nearly a decade and has been promised to my clan for some time. The language contained herein may be a little abrasive for some, but only because I have a very particular audience in mind. Heroes always emerge from the least likely of places, whether in the Bible or in fiction. I believe that the next generation of legends exists among those who have the least reason to believe in anything. You can't take for granted something you've never experienced. That being said, the information in this book can enrich anyone of any age in any and everything they do. If you're able to approach this text with an open mind, you will find it to be a treasured tool in unlocking your own mind and beliefs. This will be on the required reading list for members of Wind Clan for the rest of eternity, and a privilege for the rest of humanity to read. If nothing else, I hope the Book of Wind leads humanity to find greater meaning for itself and move toward a free and loving world overall. A little quick side story. After finishing writing in this book, I had this crazy idea. I thought to myself, okay, like as a rapper, like what would be like the dopest thing that can happen. And I thought to myself, I guess like the top thing would be like maybe like Jay-Z or somebody actually getting to hear your demo or something like this, right? And so I was like, what would be the equivalent of that with a book? And I was like, okay, so I'm writing a kind of like spiritual type book. Like, what would be the dopest person like to read it? And I was like, oh, it'd be dope if like the Pope or somebody read it, right? So I went ahead, I actually looked up the address to the Vatican, did a little research to find out how you get a book to the Vatican. And I shipped it. It reached out there. I sent a letter with it, just kind of talking about what was the inspiration for the book and a lot of the things that were happening here in the States. Like, I was just like, it's crazy over here, you know, what's happening with like the poverty and the killings and things like this. I wrote this passionate letter to the Pope. And now I'm not by any means claiming that I was the cause of this, but the timing was pretty cool that about 2 weeks later, President Obama made his first visit to the Vatican to meet with the Pope after being called over there. And based on the transcripts and things of that nature associated with that meeting, they were discussing a lot of those same issues that I brought up in my letter. So I don't know for a fact if the Book of Wind had anything to do with that, but it's a cool thought to know that that book is sitting there, and the Pope probably saw this thing, and it's hilarious because once you start hearing like some of the language in the book or whatever, it's funny to me that I sent a book to the Pope that discusses stuff like queefs in depth. So so that's a personal victory for me. All right. So you know what? So before I get into the introduction, we'll probably stop at the introduction. It's a little lengthy, a little dense. It's got some interesting info in there or whatever. Let's go ahead and play a quick tune for you. Let me see what I got down here in the vault.
Now playing Piccolo by Trigger 8.
I would hate it. Trigger 8 made it.
Bitch, I came to slaughter beat, so this one is about to be wrecked. All I know is level up, I haters stay the same in place. Straight out the incubator, so you know that my rhymes is fresh. Kill shit like that special beat cannon passing through radish chest. I stay training, gaining strength, and skill is what I never lack. That's a fact, I put in work cause I'm trying to make paper stack. I'ma just do me, haters laughing, they don't notice that. I'm about to blow up like a super ghost, kamikaze attack. Here I go, power level rising, don't come at me bro. Smacking folks, I'ma give them hell and an elder hoe. Widow coming at you with the bars and a killer flow. Gotta get the dope, stay with the green like I'm Piccolo. Here I go, power level rising, don't come at me bro. Smacking folks, I'ma give them hell and an elder hoe. Widow coming at you with the bars and a killer flow. Gotta get the dope, stay with the green like I'm Piccolo. Power level swole, who want it? Come on and get this work. 10K each shit, you get 360 degrees of hurt. Send you to the sky, teleport and knock you in the dirt. Hit you with a finisher, the shirt to put a dent in earth. Wanna challenge me? Come on and proceed to run my face. Leave you blinded from a solar flare and punch you in the face. I'm whooping your ass, now I see you trying to run away. Look around, there's no escape, cause you in my hell zone grenade. Here I go, power level rising, don't come at me bro. Smacking folks, I'ma give them hell and an elder hoe. Widow coming at you with the bars and a killer flow. Gotta get the dope, stay with the green like I'm Piccolo. Here I go, power level rising, don't come at me bro. Smacking folks, I'ma give them hell and an elder hoe. Widow coming at you with the bars and a killer flow. Gotta get the dope, stay with the green like I'm Piccolo.
All right, dope. We're back. All right, so As always, a link to that track and the artist will be featured in the description for this podcast. And you can always visit our page. We're at WinClanNinjas.com. Our Patreon page, patreon.com/WinClanNinjas. It's just WinClanNinjas everything. All right, and then and then I'll make sure I also have the link for the book so you can get your own copy of the Book of Win. Make your own notes. Do whatever with that. You know what I mean? Send it out as a gift. I don't care. Do what you like. All right, so introduction. Cool. Let's clear something up right from the beginning. This is not a fucking religious text or some kind of alternate gospel, even though somebody's going to pick this thing up and live it verbatim. Though I have a symbol that I've designed and identify with, this is no fucking church or cult or a mark of the beast thing. Even if I do end up with some kind of following, I'm not going to sell you some magical way to get rich or go to heaven. Nor am I going to make you go out and buy my records and download my music. Personally, some of the shit I've made scares the hell out of me. Though I can identify with the life and trials of Jesus, I'm no Messiah or Second Coming, or Kanye West for that matter. Even though I resemble the Japanese wind god Fujin with my dark skin and fiery red hair, side note, during the writing of this book, I had red hair, like fiery red hair. If you're familiar with one of my favorite series, Naruto, the character Gaara became the leader of the village hidden in sand, which is in Wind Country. So they wore the Japanese symbol for wind on their forehead. We adopted that into Wind Clan, and then me being the leader, of course, like I used a lot of that imagery from Gaara, so I did have red hair at the time, and then both Gaara and a few other characters throughout like anime are based on this. It's a cloud riding demon / Japanese god named Fujin. All right, and then in older versions of Fujin, he was described as having black skin, red hair, and he carried around a gourd similar to what Gaara carries. You know, and but over the years, somewhere down the line, he became green. You know how it is when you have black characters; they always end up another character later on. Shout out to Mr. Popo and his blue face now. All right, moving right along. All right. I've seen and done some awesome things throughout life, but at the end of the day, I'm just human like you. Unless, of course, this text has somehow wandered into the hands of some extraterrestrial life form, or dogs have finally figured out how to read the paper after they brought it in. Then, of course, I'd be very wrong in assuming I'm human like you, quote unquote. Who am I kidding? By the time this is published, half of the readers won't even be old enough to remember what a newspaper is. Technology is changing and people are changing. What was accepted as fact 1,000 years ago is just myth in today's society. And what was taboo 50 years ago is now commonplace. Elvis and his hip gyrating were once considered borderline pornographic and is even protected by law now. Debate if you like on who or what I am, but what I believe is that being individuals with unique paths, the vast majority of what we are taught and what we learn is complete and utter bullshit. Even if what we've learned coincides with what is commonly accepted as true, what good is your truth against a group of people who have entirely different view of what is true? That outcast kid in class that doesn't speak English and gets picked on could very well be a cunning linguist and be quite popular or respected in his own country. Like Eddie Murphy's character in Coming to America. Left up to us, truth is relative. In a world of opposites, logic would rule that if any one of them is correct, that would by definition mean everything else is, that would by definition make everyone else wrong. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The root of all human conflict. Yo, let's stop there. What is reality? Unfortunately, as human beings, there are as many views and perspectives as there are people to have those views and perspectives. So a large part of what we understand to be real and much of what our laws and things of that nature in the physical world are based on is something called agreement. All right. So that means if enough people collectively agree that something is real, it becomes real as far as society is concerned. And that's problematic because with a bunch of different religions, with a bunch of different lifestyles, what may be real and right for one person may not be real and right for another. So how do we come to some kind of consensus and coexist? All right, and then we get into some of that in the rest of this book, but that's really something to think about right there. All right. The fact of the matter is that there's many views of the world as there are people in the world to view it, and no one person's view is going to be identical to the next. I don't give a fuck if science has proved that man evolved from apes, or if Christian faith dictates that the first man was dust into which the breath of God entered. Nobody was around to see it. Nowadays, they use carbon dating to determine the age of fossils and prehistoric stuff, using the logic that being carbon-based life forms, the age of our remains can be determined by how much the carbon has broken down over time. Having previously determined a set rate at which carbon breaks down, look up the term half-life. For all we know, the first man was made in a matter of seconds from materials that take millions of years to break down. Darwin wasn't there when the first man appeared. Hell, Moses wasn't even in the Garden of Eden to see for himself the creation of man before writing an account of it in the Holy Bible's book of Genesis. Regardless of what I believe, exclusively and individually, one thing we should be able to universally agree upon before continuing, however, is that what is true should hold true regardless of any individual view of it. What is true, whether you know it to be true or not, and will continue to be true even after you disagree with it. You can't first discover a land that's already inhabited. And no matter how brilliantly you argue your case to the contrary, as a, say, knife is held to your throat, if that psycho removes your head or heart, you will soon be dead. Just like all the headless and heartless motherfuckers before you. Lying to yourself and that maniac won't change your fate. And perhaps accepting your mortality in such a case may be just what you need to kickstart your survival instincts and save your life. Yeah, I know that's a kind of graphic description, but it's the truth. You know, sometimes we lie to ourselves as an escape, and then in truth, the ability to make up stories, the ability to lie and boost ourselves up, that's actually considered an evolutionary trait of human beings who were facing impossible odds and predators in the wild and things like this, and then they had to be able to tell themselves that they were able to go out there and be able to defeat these things, and so that they'd be able to eat and survive. You know, so yeah, I mean, you can lie to yourself in one regard or the other, but the truth of the matter is, in understanding your mortality and that you only have so much time here, like all this could just end in a moment, in a flash, that gives you that boost you need sometimes to survive. Like you understand how valuable your life and how valuable life in general really is. All right, so I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. We're gonna go to another track. See you in a minute.
Now playing I Don't Do Much by Will J.
Will J, bitch, black like dark tint, hot like a pot of grits, cold like a ice gets. I'm from Indiana, Gary to be exact. Put my city on like the legendary Mike Jack. Moonwalk on the beat and my shoes clean. My girl pussy skeet when I'm behind beating cheeks. I'm a damn beast, never will accept defeat. Beat turn to miss meat, leave it red like Tahitian tree. And I'm laid back, smoking on a loud pack. I'm cool like O'Malley in the alley from Aristocats. I'm a social drinker, Coke 4-5, brown liquor, blunts roll even bigger, perp in the sweet swisher. Take a seat and listen, observe the words I'm spitting. Rap ain't no competition, mumble ass rap niggas. I'm in my own lane, my girl give good brains. Slob on my dang-a-lang, my smooth flow insane. I don't do much, sit around, smoke blunts, brown in my red cup, fuck my girl, bust nuts. G.I. stand up, always rap where I'm from, rap flow, bar none, Jet Li, I'm the one. This is so me, flame throwing, spitting heat, turn rap to a killing spree. Ain't no way of stopping me. With Jay's a name, ho, never told a fofo. These hands always go, you didn't know, now you know. I'm on a new level, on time check the bezel, hitting hard like metal. These words you hear is fatal. The game procrastinating, and I'ma stay patient while I'm elevating. This weed smoke stimulating, eyes chink like Asians. I'm always paper chasing, these checks I'm calculating. Why you always hating? I'm in my own zone, fake shit I don't condone. My girl on the telephone saying that she want a bone. Back at it like a crack addict. I wreak havoc on you lame bastards. Sure enough, I am the master. A Taurus bull, I ain't bullshitting. What was written, what's the game's mission? Hot from the chef's kitchen. I'm on a mission with a vengeance to kill your whole existence. Not to mention, I'm coming from a new dimension. I'm so cold like the ice pole. Froze on mango, collect the toll, roll like a rolling stone. I don't do much, sit around, smoke blunts, brown in my red cup, fuck my girl, bust nuts. G.I. stand up, always rep where I'm from, rap flow, bar none, Jet Li, I'm the one. This is so me, flame throwing, spitting heat, turn rap to a killing spree. Ain't no way of stopping me. With Jay's a name, ho, never told a fofo. These hands always go, you didn't know, now you know.
All right, and we're back. Yet another jam for ya. All right, so once again, you know, you can grab the Book of Wind by Stavario C. Wynn Wyndham. It's on Amazon, any online book retailer you can think of. Jumping right back in. So the $1 million question becomes, how do we then find what is universally true? Well, I'm pretty sure and I truly believe it starts with getting everyone to shut the fuck up. It begins with people erasing what they think they know and how they think they came to know it. You've got to wash your brain. Oh, there it is. I knew it. I knew it was a cult. He just said he was going to brainwash us. If that's what you thought just now, you've proven my point. Forget what you think you know about the term brainwash. You've heard it used in a negative light so much that you automatically hear or see the word and go, oh no, not that. You've heard the word pussy used so much as a reference to vaginas that you've forgotten that it was a perfectly innocent synonym for a common house cat once upon a time. You've heard gay used so often to describe homosexuals that you don't even remember a time when it was just another word for happy. I suppose somewhere along the lines, some people realized that they were very happy being homosexual and the term just stuck. It isn't the whole brainwashing part that creates so much controversy, fear and stigma around cults and different groups. It's what they put in there after your brain is all sparkly and clean and naked. You don't have problems until they say, forget everything you've learned about God or Jesus or Buddha and worship this weird, charismatic guy with the beard and a red Dixie cup instead. How upset do you think the Christian church would get if someone instead said, forget everything you think you know about God's goodness and everything you've been taught in the church. Now go out into the world and experience for yourself how true these things are. If lying is bad for you, it isn't enough for some authority figure to say it's wrong and you just accept it blindly. That does fall into the category of faith, but I recall the Bible saying something to the effect of faith without works is dead. What you think you know is of no use until you go out and apply it, then live by it. We're experiential creatures as humans, which is why we have all these senses. It's not enough to know the stove is hot. We've got to touch it and burn our hands. Then we'll either say, ouch, that hurts. Never gonna do that again. Or, hey, that actually feels pretty good. Let's try that again. Then go get some really good mental therapy. Until you've told enough lies to see how they create confusion for you and those around you, and until you've experienced the perceived perks or consequences of it, you've obtained no useful wisdom on the subject matter. It is my belief that any human being of sound mind and functioning senses, freed of any preconceived notion and without the interference of another human's viewpoint, will do two things. They will come to identical conclusions about the things around them, and they will go on to create their own unique interpretation of the matter. The first of these is essential to unity and standards among men, and the latter is the key to individuality and the improvement of mankind. In other words, when both the voices in your head and the voices around you shut the hell up, there's nothing left but truth. Then, as a human being with free will, you have the choice to either accept it or alter it to fit your own means. This washed, empty state of mind most closely relates to the Japanese ninja concept of Mu. Right? The ninja believe Mu, M-U, to be the fourth of 5 dimensions, representing a world of nothingness, a realm of death and disembodied spirits. It is often after passing through this state that you then enter the 5th and highest dimension of Ku, K-U, or void. It is said that the few who reach this level are invincible, can do anything, and can even transcend space and time at will. Mystical shit aside, the least you can draw from these concepts is that by achieving a mind state that is empty of all that is crammed into our brains, we can become aware of what things affect us all, like death, for instance. And from there, create new possibilities and concepts. Perhaps this is what makes these particular ninja invincible. Without being bound by a particular way of thinking or doing things, these ninja could find openings and possibilities in any and every situation. That's some pretty heavy shit to process, huh? There are various belief systems and programs that tiptoe around similar concepts of opening possibilities. It even trickles into stories and films like The Matrix. That's why we need physical, relatable representations that help us perceive concepts that are beyond average human understanding. Whether or not you believe Jesus was or is the Son of God, or if he ever existed in the first place, you can appreciate the role he plays in helping humans understand the existence of God. Picture a being who displays all the characteristics of this higher power, from displaying compassion to creating feasts from virtually nothing. Then, picture that same being, as inhumanly enabled as he is, simultaneously being as human as us with the same temptations and physical mortality. Not only that, but saying that every human can achieve a state just like his. That gives people hope and a potential to strive toward. It opens possibilities by showing you things you did not know you were capable of doing. But in case you're one of those dicks that automatically shuts down as soon as you hear the name Jesus or other religious stuff and miss the message as a result, here's another example. VH1's Behind the Music is one of my favorite television programs as a musician. Part of the appeal is getting to see your favorite celebrities and stars as they rise to success. Their stories start off similar to ours, with a very human childhood, be it peaceful or troubled. Some course of events transpires that leads them to becoming the stars they are today. The show is almost like a roadmap to stardom. Though there are obviously details left out for the sake of telling the story within the allotted time frame and to add entertainment value, the purpose is served. They tell what they did to get there and what drove them to do it. Martial arts are no different from this and use similar methodology. Kung Fu styles mimic various movements and concepts associated with animals to help humans adopt the ferocity of powerful beasts like the tiger, or to adopt the grace of a crane, or to utilize the unpredictability of a monkey. The movements and practices involved in Kung Fu are also designed to teach you how to strengthen and improve your mind, body, and spirit by tying muscle memory to more abstract concepts. Right? I'll pause right there. In addition to muscle memory, since the writing of this book and practicing Qigong, we learned a concept called energetic structures. So what happens is, if you practice something long enough, like let's say a particular movement, not only do your muscles memorize that movement and can react, and almost as a reflex when they need to, you also build what are called energetic structures, because our physical form is just a physical manifestation of what's happening to the energy in our body. It's kind of like when somebody loses a limb or something, they have what's called ghost limb syndrome, where it feels like the arm or leg is still there. That's because the energy in the body, the life force, the chi, is still following that same path. And it's believed, and it's been said that there are people who have achieved this, but those who understand that energy flow well enough are actually able to reassemble the matter around that energy. In other words, basically grow back a finger or stuff like this. It sounds crazy, but there are people who say they've seen this, and it's one of those things that's just not common knowledge. It's not something that's out there like that, because in the wrong hands it could be used very badly, and then there are generations of people who have protected this information, and people who have died for this information. That type of information would be detrimental to, say, like the pharmaceutical industry that makes its money off of keeping people sick. But hey, it is what it is. But just a little interesting tidbit. Now jumping back into it. Back to the ninja arts. This progression is represented by elements of nature, the first being earth. Most earth-themed training involves strengthening the legs, as they are the base of all other movement and mobility. Earth also represents basics and standards, as they are the foundations of anything else that will spring forth. Just like the earth is where plants and other life begin. In terms of learning and education in general, Earth is like learning, counting, and the alphabet. No matter the difficulty of mathematics that you one day come to understand, be it trigonometry or algebra, it all begins with learning to count and recognize basic numbers. No matter what classic literary works you go on to author or important government documents you go on to draft, it all begins with learning the letters of the alphabet. The idea is that after learning through all those natural elements, you can eventually reach the states of Mu and Ku that I mentioned earlier. You can reach that state of mind that allows you to do and create anything that you want. You can become whatever you want and live the life that truly makes you happy. Well, it just so happens in this system that the last physically relatable element you learn about before everything just goes all supernatural and bananas is none other than, you guessed it, wind. Right, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and run one more track, and then we'll go ahead and finish out this section. I'll be right back.
Now playing Chapter 1 by Coley, Raax.
Detroit, lace me up, bro.
Hey, shout out to my motherfucking
D-Train stay killing the track. My baby brother nigga Pazzi and my older brother named Reggie. Came from a single home, my daddy gone, my mama alone, she stressed. Lights on, no food in the house, and all of the cabinets in. Ran out of gunners, can't see the light, it's dark in hell doing dishes. Been smoking sin by the 6th grade, then we ain't back in elementary. Used to walk to school, but then go to school, that was still back in elementary. But I always in attention, but the teacher said I wouldn't listen. She told me I would never change, but I was fat first and I was skinny. Don't judge me by how I look, cause you don't know what I witnessed. But I never told, I never fold, not a single soul, I wouldn't miss. I was coming on, present middle child, I never had no one's attention. But out of my style, looking like a nigga baller. It is. You smile in my face, but behind it you hate. You a fucking disgrace. I don't know who to bully. How y'all niggas in this place? I'm not ashamed, I'm ashamed, cause I got myself to blame. My mind's all over the place. I just want the pain to go away. Before TL shit, man. Before the family shit, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Before the shit, man. The deal kind of shit, man. They making shit. You did. Shit run through my fucking veins, dude.
All right, and we're back. Once again, you can find The Book of Wind by Tavario C. Wyndham on Amazon and all digital retailers. All right, jumping right back in. Wind is our quote-unquote Jesus in this case. No, that does not mean that Chris Wind is Jesus. Even if the word Christ is in my middle name, I'm pretty sure Christopher is more correctly associated with my Christmas Eve birthday. And a little side note, I did learn shortly after writing this that Christopher actually means the light bearer. Okay, and then and there's a story that Saint Christopher was a guy who ran into Jesus while he was wandering in the desert for those years, and then gave him some water. So, who knows? I wasn't there when I was named. Like, I was physically there, but I was like a super baby at the time, so I don't know what decisions were made there. Right? It means that similarly to how Jesus is a relatable physical representation for us to become more like our Creator in our actions and treatment of each other, wind is a physical and worldly manifestation of concepts that are intangible and beyond our human understanding. Though it can't be seen by the naked eye, our senses can perceive wind through feel. We can see its effects on the environment around us when leaves rustle or hair flails. Through technology, we can even harness it to create energy and other useful applications. By teaching our minds to become as free-flowing and expansive as the wind all around us, we can train ourselves to become more attuned to that empty, clear state of mind I spoke of. We can better understand how unseen forces affect our world and understand how essential they are to our life and vitality. At the very least, I believe that all humans are capable of achieving great things and can unlock this potential. Not just through the words and actions of other humans, but through the lessons that can be learned from each and everything in the universe, if you can interpret the message. I personally demonstrate this by creating music, art, and other creative works that are as dynamic and varying as the wind itself, and translating the messages by packaging them with imagery people like me can understand. Sometimes my songs are as gentle as a breeze to comfort myself and others, and sometimes my music is as chaotic and damaging as a hurricane in order to change the entire landscape of a particular place or way of thought. Many of my personal circle of friends and their friends may not always be able to understand the Bible or Holy Quran that were written millennia ago, but they can relate to the mysterious world of ninja and fantasy and to the wind that has been around their entire lives. By living like wind, I can be a bridge between that which is considered fantasy and fiction and that which we experience every day in the real world. If you too want to connect and be in tune with something higher, or if you are already attuned with something above and beyond and are looking for a way to translate this process into a language you and others can understand, read and share this book. Even if wind is not your way, I believe that this book will show you how to translate your personal message in a way that your own peers can understand in language that is true to you. All right. Whew. And that was just the introduction, y'all. Yeah, so got into some deep concepts there. If you don't get any other takeaway, just understand the power of being able to kind of shut that voice that's in your head off for moments at a time. It gives you a clearing that allows you to see things in a different light. Like you may be able to look at a situation or even your physical surroundings and see something that you didn't see there. Maybe an environment that you lived in that was that normally held negative feelings for you. You know, you can come back into it in a clearer light and see an opportunity, if nothing else, an opportunity for learning. You know, there's no true failures unless you stop. You know, and even if you fall in a particular situation, you gain something in experience, you know. So even if you didn't get what you set out to initially, you gain some experience and you could just get right back out there and try again. You know, and all that starts with being able to detach yourself from the story and the understanding you built around a particular situation and looking at it in a new, clearer, objective light. You know, our greatest strength and weakness as human beings is our ability to attach a perception to the things we look at. You know, I'm almost certain somewhere later in the book I bring this up, but just in case I don't, I always bring up this example of, let's say like you're trapped in this room, there's no way out, and the only thing in that room is like let's say it's a table in the center of the room. There's a pitcher, a container on the middle of that table, and like let's say like a remote control sitting on the table. And you getting out of this room is dependent on you being able to stir up this, let's say it's Kool-Aid in the pitcher, right? Your life is dependent on stirring this Kool-Aid, right? And if you're one of those types of people who are so attached to what something is quote unquote supposed to be used for, you'll look at that remote control and you would say, oh, this is a remote control. That's the only thing it can be used for. It can only be used to change the television. If that's how you think, you're going to die. You're going to die alone in that room, you know. But if you're one of those types of people that says, okay, this remote control is not serving me at all when used for its regular purpose. Let me use this thing as a spoon and stir up this pitcher, you know. And that's a very basic and silly, you know what I'm saying, example. But then that's pretty much how most people live their lives. There's so many things that of use to them in their immediate environment. We always think that there's some magical something over the rainbow that we need in order to get the things we want in life. But the vast majority of it is right there in front of us, whether it be in physical resources or even in human resources. It's just a matter of being able to detach whatever idea you have of these things, you know, detach from that, and then be able to say, okay, what new possibility is here? All right, I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to let you stew on that for a bit, and I'll see you in the next episode. All right, be good to each other. I've been Win Clan Ninjas. Make sure you go to our Patreon page and pledge. That's patreon.com/Win Clan Ninjas. And that allows us to keep this show going and keep on educating the world, keep on being a platform where people can put out their music. All right, I love you. Peace.